Okay, welcome in. So first, I then read, next, I was so excited to talk about this one. Why didn't no one tell me how much better? Then I read my next, so I just finished last but not least. I'm gonna talk about this for a while. I am clearly not in my bedroom. I'm dog sitting. If this looks familiar at all, it's where Logan and I did the second readathon. So the same warning as before, the two little Frenchies are probably gonna at each other the entire time. You can hear them drinking water. If you thought we were going to escape pet interruptions since we're not in my room, you'd be wrong. So once again, another monthly wrap up. The months are flying by. I did pretty good though. I did pretty freaking good. Let me show you my stack. I'm gonna go this way. Oh my God. Here's my stack of books. Oh my God. You could say I kind of slayed this month. I will say, I did not finish my rainbow TBR that I made. I was close. I was so close. I only had 2 more books to go. And I could have probably gotten in one more, the blue one, but I could not have done both of them. I couldn't have. But I took a day off and I didn't read a single thing yesterday. But I'll talk about that later. 12. Okay, I read 12 books. The dogs are fighting right now. Let's get this party started. You know what? You would think after I think this has been my 3rd month doing it, that I would remember to do my stats beforehand, but I didn't. So, per usual, I will go over, Frank! Per usual, I will go over what I read, but I'll put in the amount of pages and whatnot at a later date. Those will just magically appear on the screen right now. So 12 books total. We had 1 reread. I want to say 11 romances, but 2 of them are could potentially not be romances. You know, one of them's more just heartbreak fiction type of vibe. And then one of them, I have no idea if technically there's a romance in it. So sure. 6 YA, 1 YA fantasy. I think that's it. Okay, let's go. So first, I reread Love in Other Words. This was a book that I read 2 years ago during the summer, and it was a 5-star read immediately. And this was one of those where when I thought about it and now, I was maybe if I read it now, I wouldn't think it was a 5 stars because I don't exactly, I was still kind of new at reading, and this was one of the first romances that really really broke my heart, other than Colleen Hoover. But this was one of the first ones that broke my heart. So I could see that just having a lasting effect on me, in my mind, and at the time being a 5-star read. So with the reread, I was worried. 5-star read. It's still 5 stars. Me at my big age, 2 years later, it's still a 5-star read. There's just, I don't know how to explain it. Either you get it or you don't, okay? You either get the childhood friends to lovers trope, or you don't. Frank is going in on Clyde right now, biting the F out of his leg. Frank! Anyways, watching these 2 kids become friends at 10 or 11, whatever age they were, and slowly growing up and hitting puberty and realizing they have feelings for each other, that whole timeline, it's I'm crying the entire time it happens because it's so bittersweet. It's so life-changing. It's so cute that it makes me so emotional. Even in the present day timeline, because it goes back and forth. I couldn't really remember that timeline that well because it didn't stick with me as much as the past. I like it so much, and I wasn't expecting to like it because it didn't stick with me. I love Elliot, past and present. God, I love Elliot. There's something about vulnerable men written by women. I love a vulnerable man. A little shy. He's a reader, please. He has glasses. A little shy man, I fold for every time. Every single damn time. And I will continue to fold for this book every time. Moving on from that. Let me get them in order. I then read the Heartstopper series. Oh my God. I'm obsessed with these 2 boys. First book. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but if you don't want to hear about the plot of all of these books, because I'm gonna loosely talk about them, then you can skip. Because it's just, the whole series as a whole is a 4.5, I would say. So if you want to skip now, go ahead and skip to this time. Anyways, first one, I didn't know how to rate these because they're graphic novels. This is my first graphic novel. So literally they're comic books, and they're pretty short. Like I read them in 20 minutes or less. So like I didn't know how to rate books that don't have like a ton of depth to them. But that being said, they still have depth to them. Like I don't know how she does it in a picture book, but she does it. Anyways, Charlie, I think he's 14 at the time, and he's like out in school. He got bullied for it. He was found out for being gay and got like tragically bullied. Then there's Nick, who's on the rugby team, and he's not out. He's not even gay at this point. And he gets sat next to Nick. No, he gets sat next to Charlie in forms or whatever. I don't know. It's not in America. So they get sat next to each other, and Nick has like all these douchebag rugby friends who like make fun of Charlie for being gay. And they like spark up a friendship, and it's just Nick realizing he hates his friends because they're all mean, and realizing that he kind of might have a crush on Charlie, and it freaks him the fuck out. And just like watching Nick grow into himself makes me so emotional. So this whole book is them hanging out, basically. Cute as shit. And like watching him panic because he like doesn't know what's happening. Literally Googling, am I gay? What happens if you like a boy? I was kicking my feet, God. And then, oh, I didn't even see that. I let Adair borrow these books, and it says thank you, Adair. I literally was like, what the hell was that? You're welcome, Adair. Okay, the second one is emotional. Oh, I forgot. For the first one, I just ended up rating it a 4. Okay? But I will still continue to say the series as a whole is like a 4.5. Literally like maybe even 5 stars, because there's nothing to dislike about it. So volume 2, I just did a 4 again. I don't know. Don't take my ratings too hard, because like they're basically 5s. This one's just kind of about the whole being a secret and like coming out to their friends and family type of vibe. Amazing, adorable, super emotional for me. Cried a lot. And they get bigger as they go, which is amazing. The third one, another 4. I think they go to Paris in this one. Maybe not. Oh yeah, I think they go to Paris. Yeah, so they take a class trip to Paris and they both go. And then it also touches on to like, it goes more away from their relationship, like a little bit, and into Charlie and his eating habits, kind of. So they touch more on like Charlie's health in this one, which was like also really upsetting, obviously. Fourth one, look at the cover. I gave it a 4. Don't know why. So this one, also, it's just more like on the journey of Charlie getting better and like their relationship and just working on like, you know, the whole being gay thing. That's basically it. Adorable, loved, couldn't say anything bad. The fifth one, surprisingly, got up to a 4.5. 4.25. I spoke too soon. This one was like a little more, it's like a year later, and so they're a little bit older and they're getting more comfortable. And by more comfortable, as in they're both having like sexy time feelings, and it's so funny because they're like so nervous because they're just so cute. And then the whole like Nick's about to graduate, so the whole like college debacle, I guess it's university there, the whole uni debacle is coming up, so that's like more on this story. But the 6th one's about to come out. Actually, I don't know when it comes out. I would love to know. Someone let me know. The 6th one comes out soon, and that's the final one. But anyways, the sister in these comics are like one of my favorite parts. She's so funny. The show, I didn't like Nick at first, but I'm literally obsessed with Nick. The Nick in the show is so adorable. So he's another example of like a shy, except he's not like super shy, but like a shy, vulnerable boy. Oh my God. The show is so perfect. No complaints on the show, like whatsoever. I love the whole thing. Okay, next. I was back on my Abby Jimenez grind. I read Yours Truly. I gave a 4. I think I ended with a 4. I was between a 4 and a 4.25 just because I feel like the miscommunication in this book annoyed me. Sometimes it doesn't annoy me. Like there are some miscommunication tropes or stories that are told that I don't, like that I can believe because like I would do the same thing. But sometimes it's like all you had to do was talk. That's all you had to do. I will say I didn't mind, like the main guy in this had really bad anxiety. It was like it was the focal point of a lot in their story. And I thought it was gonna annoy me after a while, but it didn't really. And like her willingness to help him through his anxiety worked. Like I feel like a lot of books talk about anxiety in a really extreme way. Did I talk about this already? I feel like I've said these words out of my mouth before. which is weird because I don't think I've talked about this book before. Anyways, his anxiety was like more about like the little things that I have anxiety about, like where to park when we're going somewhere new, or like social situations where you don't know like what it's gonna be like. Just like those little things he had. And so it was relatable in that way, because you're like, oh my God, literally same. Like I would love a screenshot of where the fuck I'm gonna park at these places. I did end up tabbing it, which is kind of shocking. I didn't underline or anything, which is also shocking. I thought the like little notes at work was really cute. I like that a lot. Oh my God, I literally forgot that his ex married his brother. That's insane. For him to handle that, he handled that like a champ. Because if my ex married my sister or left me for my sister, we're done. We're done. we're cut off and we're done. You're never talking to me again. Unless it was like a mutual breakup, like maybe that's fine, but you're not gonna be around. I don't want you in my life. I don't want you around me. So like, why? He's so okay with it, and I would not be. Okay, like the miscommunication I can't stand is it's sometimes both parties in the relationship. Well, she'll be like, well, he doesn't love me. I'm in love with him, but I know he's not in this for love. He's not in this for me. Like he's just in this either to make his ex jealous or like to rebound or something. And then we'll go to the boy's POV, and he's like, God, I love her so much, but she's not into me like that. All it takes is a little bit of communication. I get sometimes when they're like, I don't want to say anything because it's going to ruin our friendship kind of thing. But if y'all act this way towards each other, just be together. Just say something. Make a joke out of it just to catch the vibe if you need to. It just makes me so mad when I have to read over and over again, point of view to point of view, being like, ugh, if only he liked me the way I liked her, the way I liked him. And then it's the same thing on his side. Pisses me off. Because like, we're just, stop, Frank. We're just like wasting time. Like, what are we doing? The one thing that's a spoiler. I literally forgot the ending of this book, which is probably why it should stay a 4, not a 4.25. Like, overall, very good. Some things could have been saved with a little bit of communication. That's it. Okay, I read Until You, which I've talked about in another video, and I've talked about in another video that's not out yet. So I'm gonna be keeping it brief on this one. I read it in when Danny, our new puppy, picked what we were reading, and then it's also in the continuing series video, because I picked this last time I did that. So it's old. I didn't pick it because I wanted to. I picked it because I started a series and I've owned this book for years and needed to read it. I ended up giving it a 3.5. It like wasn't as bad as I was expecting, truthfully. And I read it really quickly. So like, it's a high school bully romance. It is literally exactly what you think. He bullied her and then they worked it out in the end. That's about it. Okay. Oh my God. I was so excited to talk about this one. Why did no one tell me how much better Daisy Haites is than Magnolia Parks? This book is insane. It's like the more I think about it, the more I want to give it a 5 star, just because I keep thinking about it, but I know it's not a full 5 stars. I know that. So I'm going with a 4.75. It is so much better than Magnolia Parks. Oh my God, like this is a real love story. Magnolia Parks, my problem was like just the toxicity was so bad. It was like borderline gross. Like how much they just kept fucking each other over and how annoying Magnolia could be. And I was like, girl, someone needs to fucking slap her because she's not all that. And BJ, you wear Vans. You're definitely, Vans and skinny jeans, you're definitely not all that. But Daisy Haites. I not only loved the love story, I loved the dynamic of the brother and the like, what's it called? The crime lord gang shit. I loved that part of the story too. If you read Magnolia and didn't like it that much, keep going because Daisy Haites is better. This is Julian Haites' little sister. Julian is like the guy in Magnolia Parks who's like the big bad crime guy who had pancakes and bread with Magnolia once and like kept it a secret because it's like against his persona. My verbiage is bad today. I don't have any big words in my brain. And the Magnolia Parks, obviously Christian, who there's like the weird love triangle with Christian and BJ. Christian dates Daisy like halfway through Magnolia. So I like that this kind of is taking place a little bit during Magnolia Parks because I like to see, it made me love Christian. Like I hated Christian in the first book. I could not fucking stand him. Like he was so annoying. Without his POV, his actions did not make sense to me. But in this one, they made sense. And watching him fall in love, oh my God. watching the like protectiveness and the jealousy over Romeo, the flirtiness, Daisy's flirtiness with everyone, I ate up. It was like, I liked it better than Magnolia's flirtiness, and I can't explain why. Like, she just isn't as annoying as Magnolia to me. And like everything with Taylor, the cop, oh my God, I cried at the end for sure. I'm not gonna spoil it, but the chapter where it ends, and then it I guess is the epilogue. No, because the epilogue goes back to Magnolia. Between the second to last chapter and the last chapter, my jaw dropped. I was so upset. It's just not what I was expecting. And I want to go immediately to the next Daisy Hates one. I do not want to have to read the next Magnolia, but I know I have to. But I'm really looking forward to it. I fucking love Daisy's book. Bro, I ended the month amazingly. Okay. Then I read my next Abby Jimenez, Life's Too Short. Why don't we talk about this book more? Like, the only Abby Jimenez books like that I hear the most about are Just for the Summer, and then I heard more about Yours Truly than I did about Life's Too Short. And I don't know why, because this book is way better than Life's Too Short. This book is way better than Yours Truly. Guys, what's not clicking for everyone else? Why? I need to know why not everyone's obsessed with this book, because right now it's amazing to me. It's about Vanessa Price, who's a YouTuber, and her whole family, basically all the women in her family, died of ALS, and so she thinks she has ALS because she's starting to like lose feeling in her fingers, and that's like how it starts. So she's a YouTuber who's just like raising money for ALS, and like the whole ice bucket challenge thing that happened. Her good-for-nothing druggy sister got pregnant, had a baby, and dumped it on her. So she's stuck in this little apartment taking care of this baby that isn't hers. And she's like near her 30s, I think, somewhere in the 30s region. And so one night it opens up with the baby just losing its absolute shit in the middle of the night. And her next door neighbor, Adrian, who owns the building, is with like his girlfriend in bed, and the girlfriend's like, if you don't get that fucking baby to shut up, I'm gonna slit your throat, basically. So he goes over to try and like see what's wrong, and is like, can you get the baby to stop crying? And she's like, are you kidding me? If I could, I would, babe. So he like offers to help in the middle of the night. But he's so sweet. He's another sweetie, cutie, vulnerable man. God. That's why I love these so much, because he's so vulnerable. His girlfriend ends up dumping him. She's like, there's a whole thing with that. So Adrian and Vanessa just like strike up a friendship. He's a lawyer, so he like, there's more to it. But they strike up a friendship, start spending a lot of time together. She makes it clear from the very beginning that she doesn't date and she's not hitting on him, like anytime they ask to hang out. And he's like, oh, don't worry, I'm also not hitting on you. So they just like are mutually not hitting on each other. But she's very outgoing and very like kind of just says what comes to her mind. So she calls him hot all the time and like just talks about how good looking it is. So there's like cute flirtation, but they're both like, well, we both said we're not dating. So like, obviously it gets to the point where they clearly have feelings for each other. I will say there is a little bit of miscommunication in this as well, but I would die for Adrian. I would die for him. There is one part at the very end where I was pissed. I was ready, if she had not ended the book the way she ended it, I was ready to bring my rating down to like a 2 or 3, because I was so pissed at how they ended it. But it wasn't bad. Let me back up. She ended up ending it perfectly fine, and I cried. I actually really enjoyed the ending, but she tricked me. I was mad for a good 30 pages, but just amazing. I think it's better than Yours Truly, but not better than Just for the Summer, though. I'm skipping this book. I'm going to talk about it last. So I just finished Ruthless Vows. Fucking finally. I'm not kidding. If you've been here, I started this book on my way home from Rome. I started it in the travel vlog, the travel reading vlog. It has taken me since May 11th to finish this fucking book. I knew right when I started it wasn't going to be my vibe. I don't know why. I liked Divine Rivals. It wasn't my favorite, and I definitely didn't like it as much as people were like hyping it up to be. This was just one of the most boring books I've ever read. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Rebecca Ross. I gave it a 2-star. I literally had to force myself to read a chapter a night to be done with it, because I hate DNFing and I truly wanted to know what happened. Like, I really, honest to God, like Roman and Iris, I just didn't give a fuck about the story at all. And it was so obvious what was gonna happen. Like, no part of it felt high stakes. I mean, it's YA, so like, it's only gonna be so high stakes. because it's not like anything crazy it's literally for kids, basically. The whole point is Dacre and Dacre. I still don't know how to say his fucking name. The whole point was Inva and Dacre like still fighting this war. Dacre like taking over and bombing everything, and he has Roman and Iris has to save him. It's just, there were like maybe 4 chapters total where I was like in it, and then the rest of the time I just didn't care. The end of the book, didn't care. The literal climax of the story happened. Is that the climax? I'm trying to put my brain back into like 7th grade English. Just like the end of the story happened, like the big thing happens. And I was like, I mean, obviously that was fucking gonna happen. Like, it just was so anticlimactic, and I'm so ready to be done with it. And it's such a shame because I love the covers, so I want to display them. I just don't give a fuck about these books at all. Sorry. Last but not least, I'm gonna talk about this for a while. I read Normal People. I don't even know where to start. I truly don't. I knew this was a heartbreaking kind of story, and it was either you love it or you hate it. That's all I've heard. I have realized I think the people who hate it don't get it. Don't take that personally. Like, it's a fucking good thing if you don't get it, okay? It's either you get it or you don't, because either you've lived through some of this or you haven't. I wish I didn't get it. I fucking wish that this book didn't ruin me. I read it in like less than 24 hours. It's a short read, obviously. It funnels. I read Connell on the back, and I was trying to say it follows. It follows Connell and Marianne, who are in high school together. And his mom is a house cleaner for her. So her family has a bunch of money, lives in this mansion. She's like this huge loser, nobody at school that everyone hates, basically, because she will like talk out, shit on you. She's very feminist, very outspoken, opinionated type of girl. Classic. In high school, of course, they hate the outspoken, opinionated girl. So then there's Connell, who is like the jock, nice guy, but like it's kind of the same as like Nick and Heartstopper, where he's like this jock and all of his friends suck, but he's actually a nice guy. But he's lower class, like his mom is the housekeeper. So Connell sees Marianne anytime he has to go pick up his mom from work, and so they start like this friendship outside of school, because she's intelligent and he's intelligent. He's like really fucking smart, and they're like the smartest in the school. So they like talk and have this friendship, and all of a sudden it like becomes more. And she's the type to just say what's on her mind. So like she's just gonna tell him how she feels. And so they spark up this kind of relationship, but he wants to keep it a secret because she's a loser at school, basically. And the book jumps. You'll be reading a chapter, and then the next chapter says like 3 months later, or 6 weeks later, or 6 months later. So some people I know don't like that. I didn't really mind it as much just because I think the story did a good job. But it jumps from high school and their relationship in secret to like some people finding out, his mom finding out, that kind of stuff, to him fucking it up in one way or another. And then it'll jump to college and them through college. And I don't really want to talk about like too much going into it because I don't want to like ruin anything. But it's not a romance, because it just touches on like every single shitty thing in life that could happen. It touches on romance and like high school love, like lost high school love. Of course, heartbreak in high school feels detrimental and it feels like your life's over. So it touches on like that. And then it touches on like college and not knowing what you're doing with your life, and like lack of friendships in college and how hard it is to make friends in college. Losing the love of your life again, like through these shitty experiences. Frank! It touches on like suicide and like losing people through that. It's like every single thing happens, and especially from the ages of like 18 to like 22. It's so hard. This book put me in a bad headspace. It just brought me back to all of those like really shitty feelings about, I guess, just like loneliness in college or after college. And it literally just like, it makes you feel stuck, and it makes you feel like this is your life. And then of course, I'm not gonna say what happens at the end, but I feel like this is pretty known for being heartbreaking. And I don't typically read many books that don't have a happy ending. So it was just so hard for me to process. It was just hard for me to handle I think, okay, I've got it. I've got my thoughts in order. I love heartbreaking books. Like, if it makes me cry, it's probably gonna up the rating on the book. But that being said, it's like, I love the heartbreaking books because they typically will give you the happy ending and will show you that, like, it's gonna be okay. And this one doesn't necessarily do that. So it doesn't bring you out of the funk, you know? It doesn't show you it's gonna be okay. It shows you that this is hence normal people. This is normal life. So it's like hard to come out of it. It's hard to separate my life from this life, especially like for how much I've become obsessed with Connell and Marianne. And so like the book ended, I rated it a 4 right off the bat. Now, that being said, as soon as I ended it, I had been looking forward to the show. I also went into this with no spoilers. All I knew was that it wasn't a happy ending. So I tried to prepare, but I think the book itself left me feeling empty. Like, I literally finished it and I was just sitting here. I was like, okay, like, now what? I literally didn't know what to do. I was like, now what? Now I just move on to another book? But then I started the show, and of course it's Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar Jones. Is that her name? Yeah. Who, of course, I love both of them. And I just knew it was going to tear me apart in a terrible way, and it did. Falling in love with them visually versus in the book, they did such a good job in the show. It was almost identical to the book. Like, it was literally almost word for word the things they said. And it put me in such a bad headspace. Like, such a bad headspace. I'm not even in college anymore. I'm out of that life. It just, like, it makes you feel so lonely. Watching them be lonely, it makes you feel so lonely. Unless you're someone who had the best fucking college experience ever and the best, like, friendships of your entire life, then it probably doesn't affect you that much. It's just either you get it or you don't. And it sucks. It's so heartbreaking. I literally had to go watch a movie that night. Logan and I went to go see the new Quiet Place movie because I could not sit here anymore. I could not sit here and think about normal people. I had to have something else in my mind or I was going to literally spiral into a black hole. Ugh. It was so bad. It was so good, but it was so bad. That being said, I've upped it to a 4.5 just because of how heartbreaking the story is. And it's made me realize I want to go back and underline and tab and everything. Like, I really want to annotate the shit out of this book. I can't do it right now. I'm gonna need a break. But like, I'm scared to go back and read it again because I don't want to be put into this headspace anymore. But it's like also like kind of nostalgic already because I'm like, I want to be back in with Marianne and Connell. Like, I want to see them again. But it's gonna make me upset. So like, what's the point? What's going on here? And I can already tell, I've been listening to Gracie Abrams' new album, and I can already tell that album is gonna be associated with this book just because I've been listening to it as I'm reading this. And it's gonna ruin the album for me. I'm gonna be sad every time I listen to that album. But whatever. I just have so many things to say about normal people. It's insane. Right when I finished reading it, I saw a bunch of people be like, there's a before normal people me and an after normal people me, and I didn't get it. I was like, I mean, like, yes, it was heartbreaking, but I don't really get it. I get it now. I think it took the show for me to fully get it. Because obviously you read it a certain way in the book, and I read Connell in a certain way, and it was very similar to the Connell in the show. It's just seeing it visually is so different and so much more like heartbreaking and real. And now I have these two people as real people in my mind. Like, they are these two people. So I just can't get them out of my head. I cannot get them out of my head. And any song, it just sounds like it relates to them. And I hate it because I cannot stop thinking about them. What? So I'm editing, and as I was talking about the miscommunication in Yours Truly, get down. That is not allowed. Anyways, as I was listening to myself talk about the miscommunication in Yours Truly, I realized I knew this was gonna happen. I didn't even mention anything about the miscommunication in normal people. If they had just had communication, so much heartbreak would have been saved. Like, I get the miscommunication in high school because they're babies, so it's fine. And maybe a little bit into college, but once they had hit a certain time period, like halfway through the book, all they had to do was talk. When he went home one summer, All he had to do was ask. And we would have saved so much. We would have saved, literally, it hurts me to think about if they had just said one sentence. That truly shocked me. Like, it's just like, it's been going on for so long that, I'm sorry, the dogs are being really bad right now. Frank! They've been in love, basically, for so long. They should know. They should know. And they should have done something about it. I just am in shock by that. Frank! That's it. But that's why I didn't read it all the other day, because I was watching Normal People the entire day. Every single episode crying. Every single one of them. The episode where he went to counseling, I'm not even kidding, I needed to be sedated. I almost called it quits after that episode. I almost could not fucking handle it. So I truthfully do not recommend the book if you are in college or experiencing any of those things, because it's not going to be healthy. I can just tell you that. It's not a healthy thing to read about. That being said, really good book. Anyways, now I need something like light and fluffy to read, because I can't handle more heartbreak for the time being. But that is it for my June wrap up. Didn't finish the full June TBR. It is what it is. I was only 2 away, but I don't think I'm gonna set a July TBR just because I'm not one to follow TBRs. I'm more of a mood reader, so we'll see what happens. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.